Hey guys, I want to do a little bit more jiu-jitsu philosophy with you. But before we get into this philosophy, I want to take a look at a cell. Kind of want to be Antoine von Leeuwenhoek and look at a cell. Now, a cell, picture it as a hole. You have this big hole. Now, when you open it up, you have all these different little organelles. These organelles are like ribosomes, which produce proteins, the endoplasmic reticulum, which is kind of like the highway, the Golgi bodies, which are kind of like sorters, vesicles. You have chloroplasts, you have mitochondria, you have the nucleus, which contains the DNA. You have all these organelles with specific functions. Now, because these organelles have specific functions, the cell as a whole is efficient. And that's our key word here, is efficient. When you look at a cell that doesn't have as many or any of these organelles, it's not as efficient. And just picture that as a workforce. If you have one worker, you're not as efficient. If you have two workers, you're a little bit more efficient. If you have five, you're going to have some good output. Okay, and that's what these organelles, and that's what even organs in your body are. They're just workers. If you only had two organs in your body, if you only had the brain and the heart, the brain and the heart would kind of have to be everything. They would have to be a circulatory system, they would have to be a nervous system, they would have to be an excretory system, they would have to filter stuff, they would have to do everything, and they would just be too tired. So your body needs more workers, and those workers are made up of organs, which therefore are made up by tissues, and then cells, and all this other stuff. So what does specificity have to do with efficiency? I just explained it to you. But what does that have to do with being a good martial artist, a good fighter, a good coach, or a good person? Well, you have to picture yourself as a martial artist or a fighter, whatever you want to call it. You have to picture yourself as a cell, as a whole. Now, to become a good martial artist or a good fighter, you have to have specific organelles within you. You can't just kind of have a broad overlook with everything. You have to have these specific things, because that's what's going to separate you from the next guy. The next guy might just have a broad overview of striking. He might just have a broad overview of Nangiwaza or throwing techniques. So you have to be specific to be more efficient. The more specific you are with these organelles, the more efficient you're going to be. So how do we become specific? How do we get these organelles? Well, I think there's a lot of things that kind of make that. The first thing, I think, is immersion, or immersion, or however you want to pronounce it. When you immerse yourself in something completely, where it feels like you're drowning, you're going to learn a lot faster. It goes back to the old adage, or the old aphorism where you say, just take the arm floats off the kid and throw him in the pool and learn how to swim. Now, as crazy as it sounds, it actually works. If you're not that great at striking, start working with strikers that are fantastic. If you're not good at throws, work with fifth-degree black belts in judo or great Olympic wrestlers. Well, for now, Olympic wrestlers. But work with people that are better than you. Let's look at Teddy Roosevelt, the old bull moose. Teddy Roosevelt was a genius. And why was Teddy Roosevelt so smart? Well, he surrounded himself with advisors that were smarter than him, and he actually listened to them. He read a lot of books. He listened to political persuasions and political talk from other people. He really surrounded himself with people that were a lot more smarter than him. And that is a perfect segue to go into the next thing that makes you an efficient fighter, and that gives you these specific functions, and that's being humble. Now, to a third person, a martial artist who's humble, they kind of picture someone walking around in a kimono, doing meditation and singing mantras. And that's not really what being humble is. Even martial artists themselves sometimes get being humble confused. And, just because you bow doesn't make you humble. Just because you say some kind of creed doesn't make you humble. Just because you do jiu-jitsu or judo or karate or whatever doesn't make you humble. Okay, we get that word confused a lot. Being humble, what that really is allowing yourself to be corrected, not being self-boisterous. It's learning humility. It's working with a striker, getting the crap beat out of you, or getting the crap thrown out of you, or getting put into submissions that you don't even know what the heck are, and you look like a giant knot. That's what humility is. And afterwards, being humble is, wow, this guy's really good, so I'm going to learn from him. It's not, well, screw this. I see this all the time. Guys who get, who aren't good strikers and work with good strikers who get beat up, or just, I'm not going to work on striking anymore. This is stupid. Striking is so dumb. I'm a grappler. I'm a wrestler. That's not being humble. And then they go out and they call themselves humble because they bow and they wear a gi and turn around when they tie their belts. Okay? So immersion and being humble are the two things that are going to make you have specific organelles. And then, because of that, you're going to become more efficient. You're going to become a more well-rounded fighter. Now, here's another thing. When someone says more well-rounded, it's an active process. You don't just become well-rounded. To be well-rounded, you have to work. You have to have other people act as a chisel and make you rounded. You have to actually listen to them. You have to immerse yourself into their culture and into their skills, and you have to learn it and surround yourself with it. And when you do, you can't get demotivated because of it. You have to be humble about it and accept it and learn from it and move on and become a great martial artist, a great fighter. And that's all I have for you guys. Thanks.